Frankie the Beast, DeCavalcante was a notorious figure in organized crime, best known for his role as the boss of the DeCavalcante crime family in New Jersey. His life and activities spanned several decades, much of which took place across various cities in America. Here's a detailed account of his life, involvement in the mafia, and criminal activities. Early life and rise in organized crime. Frank DeCavalcante was born in 1915 in New York City, likely in Brooklyn or Manhattan, where Italian-American communities were heavily influenced by organized crime. As a young man, he became involved in illicit activities, aligning himself with the growing mafia families that ruled New York and New Jersey. He quickly earned a reputation for his ruthlessness and ability to lead. DeCavalcante was closely associated with the mafia's illicit operations, which included racketeering, loan sharking, gambling, and extortion. By the 1960s, he had become the leader of the DeCavalcante crime family, which was based primarily in Elizabeth, New Jersey. His rise to power coincided with the family's emergence as one of the most powerful mafia groups in New Jersey, often dubbed the Real Sopranos, since they shared similarities with the TV show The Sopranos. Leadership of the DeCavalcante crime family. Throughout the 1960s and 1970s, DeCavalcante's influence spread throughout the Northeast. His crime family controlled operations in Newark, Elizabeth, and other parts of North Jersey, as well as extending their reach into parts of New York City, particularly in Queens and Brooklyn. DeCavalcante's leadership was characterized by cunning and brutality. The family was involved in various criminal activities, including controlling unions, construction rackets, drug trafficking, and money laundering. Despite being based in New Jersey, they often worked in collaboration with the five families of New York, namely the Gambino and Genovese families. Notable crimes and murders. While Frank DeCavalcante avoided direct involvement in many crimes, he sanctioned a number of murders to solidify his power and eliminate threats within his organization. One of the most infamous murders associated with the DeCavalcante family during Frank's reign was the killing of mob associate Vinny Ocean Palermo, a high-ranking member of the family who later turned informant. Palermo was a key figure in running the family's day-to-day operations, especially during the late 1990s. The family was also involved in multiple hits on rivals and turncoats over the years. DeCavalcante's ruthless enforcement of loyalty within the family ensured that many potential informants or competitors never had the chance to turn against him. Federal scrutiny and decline. In the 1980s and 1990s, the FBI increased its focus on organized crime families across the United States. This was also a time when the use of wiretaps and undercover informants became more prevalent. Frank DeCavalcante and his family came under heavy surveillance, which eventually led to several indictments against key members of the family. By the late 1990s, many of DeCavalcante's most trusted associates, including Vincent Palermo, were arrested or turned informants, severely weakening the family's operations. This marked the beginning of the end for the DeCavalcante crime family as a significant power. Turning informant and final years. After decades of evading law enforcement, DeCavalcante himself was eventually caught in the FBI's web of investigations. While some sources claim that he was imprisoned during his final years, others report that he managed to avoid lengthy prison sentences, largely due to his advanced age. What sets Frank DeCavalcante apart from other mob bosses was that he ultimately turned informant, a decision that shocked the underworld. This move mirrored what many other high-ranking mafia members were doing during the decline of the American mafia in the 1990s and early 2000s. By providing testimony against his former associates, DeCavalcante contributed to the further dismantling of the DeCavalcante crime family. This would lead to a power vacuum within the family and hasten its downfall. Documentary and media attention. The life of Frank DeCavalcante and the criminal empire he built has been the subject of documentaries and media attention. Most notably, the crime family was considered one of the inspirations behind HBO's hit show The Sopranos. Their rise, peak, and eventual decline are seen as a microcosm of the wider collapse of the American mafia in the late 20th century. Several documentaries, including those aired by the History Channel and A&E, have examined the DeCavalcante family's role in organized crime, including interviews with former mobsters and law enforcement who worked to bring them down. These documentaries detail DeCavalcante's involvement in murders, drug trafficking, and his eventual cooperation with authorities. Death and legacy. Frank DeCavalcante reportedly died in 2017. By the time of his death, his once powerful crime family had been significantly weakened. The family's influence in New Jersey, once robust, had waned as law enforcement agencies continued to target organized crime. DeCavalcante's legacy, however, remains a significant chapter in the history of American organized crime. He was one of the last of the old-school mob bosses who rose to power in the golden age of the mafia, only to see it fall apart due to internal betrayals, federal pressure, and the changing nature of crime in America. Conclusion. Frank DeCavalcante's life was a testament to the rise and fall of the mafia in America. From his beginnings in New York to his dominance in New Jersey and final years of cooperation with the federal government, his story is one of power, betrayal, and the decline of traditional organized crime. His involvement in numerous murders, illicit enterprises, and eventual downfall remains one of the most fascinating tales in American criminal history. Thanks for tuning into Sika True Crime Docs. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more captivating tales. Your support helps us keep bringing these stories to life. See you in the next episode.